Well, the Area iRacing League usually starts off its season in southern Florida here at Daytona. But before we go racing for points, we always do the preseason shootout at Daytona. 50 laps on the old school banks, the bumps of the old banking, and the old Gen 4 NASCAR Cup car. It's time for the Area preseason shootout. Thanks for joining us here on Sim TV. Kyle Heyer, joined by Finney Nakuna and Hunter Sleppy for what is sure to be a super fun event. No points on the line, Finney, and just bragging rights, and it's going to be a blast.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's going to be a fantastic race. We did this race last year, and it was an absolute blast to watch the Gen 4 Cup cars in their glory at the old version, the 2008 version of Daytona, with all the bumps included. There should be some fantastic stuff. We got all of the former shootout winners, the Cup pole winners, Cup playoff drivers, as well as the drivers from the Xfinity and the Truck Series, the winners and playoff drivers in both of those. So it's basically a who's who gathered here for tonight.
Like all three drivers from all three series, drivers bunched up. Going to be 22 drivers here that are listed in the practice session. Still some that have yet to join, or we'll see if they join. But looking at Eric Weiland, who won in Season 3, and Jake Nichols, who won in Season 4. Will we see a new winner for the third time in a row for Season 5, Kyle?
Oh, we certainly could see a new winner here. This race always promotes a bit of chaos. It's always been a fun one to watch. And, of course, we've got the Area duels next week before we kick off Area Season 5. I always enjoyed the banking here because it creates a lot of movement in these cars that you don't typically see, Finney. And every time we come to Daytona or Talladega, usually you're just flat all the way around and you're not really fighting the car all that much. But here, as you can see in the background, it creates a lot of chaos and thus makes for a pretty interesting race.
Yeah, it's just fantastic to watch these cars. These guys are flying around at almost, pretty much in some cases over 200 miles an hour across these bumps. So it's a very big challenge, especially when you consider the version of Daytona we're used to, where it's fairly flat all the way across. A couple bumps here and there, but these are extremely violent bumps because this is only 3 years before they repaved the track because it's gotten so bumpy.
Yeah, that adds character to the racetrack, and mentioned a repave in 2011, so we're so used to seeing the smooth banks of Daytona. Now we kind of forget what it's like to race at the old Daytona International Speedway. So still a minute left in practice, but got a good bit of drivers here. Brandon Bowie, the top of that list, and then, as mentioned before, Eric Weiland. He might be going for a second win for the shootout in 3 years.
Yeah, so Eric Weiland in that number 21, one of the drivers that will be looking for a repeat here as Greg Mitchell runs third and Asogak fourth, Beckner fifth in practice. But, of course, no one really cares about practice speed, not even qualifying speed. It's all about winning this race. And Connor Horn in that 42. Think back to the Area Cup Series last season. Finian did not get a shot at the championship despite having a pretty good early third of the season. Things kind of dropped off towards the end, got involved in some incidents, and wasn't able to finish it out. He's going to be extra hungry this year.
Yeah, I mean, he took home Rookie of the Year at the very least, so, can't argue too much with that. He had a fantastic rookie season. I mean, when you think about it, right, for a rookie to be eligible and fighting there for a championship in their very first season is very, very solid performance. I mean, again, it is always weird calling Connor a rookie because he's very experienced in a stock car. But I think he's definitely going to take what he learned, as well as competing with these other drivers and just kind of getting used to things, the way that things are running Area. I think he's definitely going to have a solid second season here in season number 5 as practice is wrapping up here and qualifying is about to begin. Not really that important, but it definitely could, if you want to stay near the front, if you want to stay to the back, we'll see who decides to actually put out a qualifying lap and if drivers elect to not to.
It is important to some drivers. Looking at David Weishart and Brad Slaughter, those guys have literally not stepped into the iRacing simulator since we've ended Season 4. So those guys, they're just trying to get a feel for what it's like to go around in the stock car again, let alone at a track like Daytona and in a car like the Gen 4 car that we got here tonight.
There's a look at Eric Weiland getting set for his qualifying effort. We've got a handful of drivers participating in the chat tonight to give us perspectives of their rigs at home. Here's a look now at Justin Munsell. We've got Ricky Harden here, as well as David Weishart, as always. And then, of course, Connor Horn, who's got his rig ready to rip here. So qualifying is underway as cars are on track, and David Weishart is one of them, and that number 29 Matco Tools Chevrolet. Familiar sights in that Gen 4 Chevrolet. Now, remind me if I'm misremembering here, Finian, but did we have the Gen 4 variant of this car at this time last season, or is this the first time that we're doing it with the real Gen 4 Cup car?
That's a great question. I was wondering about that myself. I wasn't able to check. I'm trying to remember. I think they just added it, or they're just playing around with it. I'm not quite sure.
Season 3 was the ARCA car. Season 4 was the Gen 4 car that we're racing in tonight.
Okay. So there you go. So there's a confirmation. So yes, this will be the second one we're running with the Gen 4 Cup variant of the ARCA car after it was accidentally changed, and then everyone wanted iRacing to keep it, so they kept it. So, which is fantastic. And they have made a few other minor tweaks to this, if I'm not mistaken, to the Gen 4 Cup car since we've run it. Just some minor adjustments just to the way it runs, but it's officially its own car and its own variant, and it gets to run here untapped at nearly 200 miles an hour. Not necessarily in qualifying, although they are pushing pretty quick. They're going near 190 here in qualifying trim.
Yeah, fun to watch, and I especially like the shootout just because of the purple and orange and pink. We get to use these kind of Miami flavor of colors here for this event, and I actually really like the color coordination on this particular timing and scoring pylon. But Travis Beckner on his lap goes to the top. Casey Lakatos Weishart goes third. Then it's Munsell and Scioli. Multi-season champion last time around. Greg Mitchell comes across the stripe. I noticed the wicker on top of the roof of these cars, which I think is a new addition. The Speedway package, at least.
Yeah, no, that was definitely one of them. I remember that. First spring, I was kind of wondering what that was at first, and I was like, wow, it's been a long time since I've seen it, because the last time I seen it was when I was a kid.
Brings back a little bit of nostalgia as Matthew Bell goes across the stripe to start his lap.
And Brad Slaughter Jr. up to the top in the Lumar number 8. Love the livery on this, reminiscent obviously of his truck from last season. Mason Kane is on track, so is Alan Elwood, and Justin Asogak is already up to speed on his way through turn 1.
Yeah, some fantastic paint schemes. We'll see all the drivers once they get out there. Still quite a few drivers waiting to get out on the track, and drivers just getting up to speed. But a lot of fantastic paint schemes as I've been slowly careening through the field.
We'll have to see what the one of Seth Knowles got, because he is on the top of the charts right now, picking up right where he left off. Had a great run in the playoffs and Cup, Final Four contender. We'll see what Season 5 has in store for him as Anasogak comes down the tri-oval to complete his lap.
Here comes Anasogak in the number 88 and across the stripe for the 88. That's a 48.839 that will put him 9th quick. Alan Elwood now on track for his quick lap in the SimWrap Market machine, which again is the replay sponsor for us once more this season.
Down the back straightaway he goes in a Dodge. Is this a Dodge Intrepid? Can't quite tell. It's a Dodge, I know that.
Dodge something RT. But
I think that's what they use for the Intrepid. But fantastic looking paint scheme there. Couple Dodges, couple Toyotas, couple Toyota Corollas specifically in this field. But Alan Elwood comes out of the final corner, as well as Alex Weaver in behind in a different. That's a Dodge Charger. I can tell that from the headlights as Weaver comes across the line.
So Elwood 15th place. Weaver goes 17th. Shane Abbey takes to the racetrack. Nichols, Wineland, Grant, and Horn still left to qualify, Hunter.
See a lot of these IRLC cars that are coming out here and qualifying. Not sure if that's a pack of cars or if that's just the standard scheme for these machines.
JordanDrinksDasani.org. Who drinks Dasani is the real question.
Jordan does.
I mean, it's objectively terrible, right? We're all in agreement on that.
Yeah.
It's thick, right? Do you guys know what I mean with Dasani? It's thick.
It doesn't have a good taste to it.
Well, it's not even the taste. It's got viscosity.
I never really liked Dasani. I guess that might be part of the reason why I don't like it.
What's Connor Horn drinking tonight? What's he got? Well, he's just putting something away. But Eric Wineland's on track. That's who we're watching. Let's have a look at Wineland as he goes to work here, accelerating up to speed in the number 21. Whoa, big slide there on the apron. Not as grippy as the current pavement surface that we have nowadays.
Running right up against the wall. Incredible speeding for, we didn't mention it before, but continuing the rule from last season, the bigger tracks, only 1 lap for these drivers. So Wyland building up speed as much as possible here before he takes the green flag. Be one of the last few drivers, I think, to put a time down, unless we see Garrett Grant, Jake Nichols, or Connor Horn jump out on the track last minute.
Watch here how he goes through the turns. We know how bumpy it is and how his head leans in when he goes through the corners. We'll have little bobbles here. Like his head will move just a little bit through these bumps.
There's so much focus. It requires a lot of accuracy to place the car. And again, this with the bumps being here, you have to place the car in such a way that you're not pushing up the racetrack. Even when I just took the picture for the thumbnail for the broadcast tonight, just working my way through the banking, if you catch the bumps wrong, it'll shoot you up the track. You have to know where they are, kind of plan and set the car so that it doesn't upset it midway through the corner and send you up the hill, especially so when you're side by side with competitors. That's something that drivers will have to contend with all night long. Wyland at a 48.827. That's going to be good enough to jump him all the way up to 5th place.
Solid time for the number 21. See if he can work with that, keep himself up here again. 50 laps for tonight, so decent amount of time for these drivers. I wouldn't necessarily call it a sprint, but it's not a whole lot of time either, especially considering the full-length 500 we're going to be having in just a couple weeks' time.
Yeah, it'll be fun. The duels next Monday here, and then the Area 500 2 Mondays from now to kick things off. Going to be interesting. This is kind of like a little preview as to what we might see for all 3 series, really, because this is their first go at Daytona, although it is different car, different type of Daytona, but it's guys getting back in the rhythm of things, trying to see if they still got it or if they're a little rusty, shake off some of that rust with a preseason opener.
Yeah, it's definitely a great combination to shake off the rust because you have to try really hard. You can't be lazy in a pack with these things. You have to be completely on your game the entire time. Otherwise, you won't make it past lap 10, let alone lap 50. So this is, Finney, you mentioned it's kind of a sprint, but in some ways it's an endurance of your focus, I would say, to make it 50 laps around here. You'll be tired, especially if you've got that force feedback turned up. Yeah,
I was going to say, especially the drivers, turn up force feedback, and with direct drive wheels, they're going to be working hard tonight, fighting the cars on the bumps. Especially, I have to talk about too when the tires eventually start to wear out, because I think that was a big factor in the preseason shootout last season, with drivers having issues with the tires because with fighting the wheels and the cars being so loose, the bumps are kind of throwing them sideways a little bit.
Well, it looks like Jake Nichols, Garrett Grant, and Connor Horn are going to start from the tail of the field. Here's a look at your qualifying results. Seth Knoll in the number 1, right back up on top where he likes it, with such a great surge forward in the points last season, starting things off right here at Daytona. Mason Kane, 2nd. Brendan Bradslaughter Jr., Travis Beckner, the rest of your front row. Casey Lakatos making an appearance. He'll start 7th. Dustin Munsell rounds out the rest of your top 10. Just over 20 cars. Connor Horn will be the 21st. Make that 22nd car to take the green flag tonight.
Yeah, 2 very strong cars starting from the tail end of the field. Should be fun to watch them comb their way to the front. We'll see if they'll try to do it immediately or if they're going to wait quite a while, wait till the end of the race to start making a charge forward. Also, James Scioli, too, back in 15th. Could expect the number 7 car to move his way to the front pretty quickly as he tries to get near the run. But again, it's one of those things, right? Because there are no points on the line. There's no bonus points for leading a lap. So when you think about it, there's not really a whole lot of a push to get near the front early. But I'm sure all these guys don't want to be in the back the entire race. They want to flex their muscles a bit.
It's a race of attrition. There's only one winner out of the 22 competitors, and no better way to kick off the season than saying, I won the first race of Season 5.
Yeah, this is an exhilarating race because there's nothing on the line. If you crash out, okay, fine. I'll see you next week at the tools, right? There's nothing on the line other than to win this race. So finishing second, no, I don't remember who finished second last year or last season. Finney, I'm sure you don't either. It's a win it or a bin it in this case. So 50 laps. Take us about 40 minutes from flag to flag if we go green. That's a big if.
That's a big if. We'll see, because I remember last year too, there was a big issue with everyone getting so close together, 3 wide, You throw the bumps into the mix as well, and the fact that there's nothing really on the line, so guys are going to be aggressive. We'll see if this year's going to be a little bit different, especially with some of the change to the car.
If I recall last season, also, we had a pretty early yellow flag, or at least a couple of yellows early on, just because those opening laps, you haven't really been running into pack other than for practice for a bit. And, you get up to speed for the first time in anger, and it doesn't take too long to make a mistake and end up crashing out early. So we'll see how it goes here as the cars grid up and get ready for their pace lap behind the pace car before we turn them loose for 50 laps here at Daytona. Again, this is the beginning of a new season of area and the tail end of my season. Just got back from Indianapolis Motor Speedway this past weekend calling the Toyota GR Cup North America Series, which was just such a blast all this year, and doing trackside PA for the Indianapolis 8-hour presented by AWS. So finish off SRO and have one more event for Grid Life next weekend at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca, and then it's all sim racing until February of next year.
Yeah, it should be a nice, technically a break.
If you could call it that.
Yeah, I was going to say, you're going from one medium to the other, basically.
It never stops. All right, let's roll through our starting grid for this one. Kicking things off on the front row is Seth Knoll, the number 1. It's Mason Kane on the outside of the front row, Finian, in the 31 machine.
Moving back to row 2 is going to be Brad Slaughter Jr. on the inside lane. Next to him, 28, Travis Beckner starting in 4th.
And in 5th place, it's Eric Wineland in the number 21. Ricky Harden starts 6th in the number 15.
Back in row folk, Casey Licata is going to be starting on the inside in 7th place. Next to him, Cosmin Yoneshiwa in the 24 and 8th.
9th place is David Weishart in the 29. Justin Munsell rolls off 10th in the number 6 machine.
Row 6 going to be Justin Sogek in 11th, with Matthew Bell next to him in the 43 in 12th place.
13th place is Greg Mitchell in the number 2. Brandon Bowie rolls off 14th in the number 23.
Back in 15th, it's going to be James Scully in the number 7 machine. Next to him, Alan Elwood in the 10 in 16th.
And 17th place, Douglas Newbeging in the number 71, and Shane Abbey starts 18th in the 84 machine.
Moving on back to 19th, find Alex Weaver in the 62, and then we get to the non-qualifiers. Jake Nichols lining up in 20th.
And the last row is going to be Connor Horn and Garrett Grant. They will start at the tail of the field. About time to go racing, guys. Pick me a winner. Hunter, you go first. Who you got winning this thing tonight? Non-points, but all fun.
Said it before on Area Race Day Live, the brand new show that we got. I'm going with Alan Elwood in the 10.
Finian, your pick.
Oh, you know what? I'm liking the number 28 of Travis Beckner. He's been pretty good at Daytona. I'm going to pick him for tonight.
Well, guys, up front all last season was Seth Knoll, and he was a winner at Daytona. Why not tonight? The pole sitter, I think, gets it done in that gray and yellow number 1 machine. All right, 50 laps. Time to hear V8 screaming in anger once again. Gen 4 Cup cars at the old Daytona. Time to go bumping around 2.5 miles here in Central Florida. Green flag is in the air, and we're racing at Daytona in the Season 5 Area Shootout. Lap 1 complete, and some shuffling already. Some cars diving to the back of the field. Eric Wineland and David Weishart have gone back there, but Mason Kane leads the way on lap 1. Beckner and Knoll second and third.
Yeah, and also look at that inside lane, or lack thereof, really, as Seth Knoll's the only one down there. Everyone riding the top lane. Mason Kane, Travis Beckner, Cosby Nonishiu, and Justin Anasogak are leading a charge on the top. I'm surprised to see no one really wanting to go down low. It's got a couple car leagues back. Jamie Scully already tried to shoot up through the field, up 9 spots from 15th.
Now running in the 6th spots, we run back with Connor Horn, who started in the back, didn't have a qualifying time in. Kind of riding things out here in the middle. Just look at how bumpy it is on the onboard.
Yeah, it is definitely a ride here. Jump on board the roll bar cam. Give you a bit of a sense of this, and even the gyro. We're looking over the shoulder of Connor Horn, how much the car is moving underneath him. He's going to look middle, 3 wide there. That's the 29 of Weishart. Look at how much action, how much lateral motion the cars have through the corner, and how much focus it requires.
And you can see from the steering wheel as well, you can see how much these guys are having to make adjustments just, based off of the way the car's bumping around. They got to keep moving that steering wheel to fight the forces that the car's putting back on them, keep the car going straight in one direction. As they back up further, it's the 73 of Jake Nichols trying to work his way on through. He's got a big push from behind. Up for the lead, though. Seth Knoll inside. Here comes Mason Kane up on top.
Coming through on the stripe. Kane's going to lead that lap on lap number 3, but a couple more cars have joined Seth Knoll on the bottom. Right on board the back of Kane in the 31. And didn't have too good of a Pro Series. Truck Series he was all right in. Just couldn't quite finish the deals out. Had great starting position and great openings to the race. Another good opening here tonight.
Seth Knoll drops to the bottom at the exit of turn 2, and he'll drop towards the back as Kane, Beckner, Yonoshiwu, Munsell, and Scioli lead the way now. Scioli in the number 7. Again, a handful of championships last season, looking to repeat that, but the target painted squarely on his back. Maybe not so much in this race, but once the points start being paid out, I'm sure everyone's got him circled.
Oh, absolutely. And definitely one thing I'm noticing right off the bat, this race a lot more calm than what we saw in the preseason running last season, where everyone was right up on top of each other. As I say that, though, here comes a big push from the inside lane. James Scioli, and behind him, Greg Mitchell trying to work their way up the bottom.
Strong run going for the 7. Not going to be enough for King to block as they come down the backstretch. Outside lane, though, we'll have another push. Here comes that bottom. It's Scioli, it's Mitchell, Matthew Bell, even David Weishart joining in the fray. Scioli to the lead heading into turn 3.
Yeah, these cars are hard to bump draft nose to tail because you can lift up the rear bumper of the car ahead of you. You have to be really cautious in these cars, and you get a lot more true drafting rather than the bumping and banging that you see now. Scioli went high. He could not get there. He gets sucker holed in the middle, and Mason Kane drives around the outside.
There's a classic, right? The sucker hole returning with these Gen 4 cars. Really, when they're mostly effective, didn't really see him much past this era. As he gets a little bit back on it now, he's starting to catch back up on the middle, and actually he's starting to come back. You saw Travis Beckner thinking of blocking him on the bottom, but he couldn't. Here he comes. Now it's a reverse sucker hole as the bottom lane is disconnected, and James Scioli is back in front on the bottom lane.
Yeah, Greg Mitchell had a moment there coming out of turn 2. That's why the bottom was off pace a little bit. Scioli now back to the bottom, looking for the lead from Kane. He'll take over that spot. Already seen how squirrely these guys get with 2 wide, and they're already trying to go 3 wide early on.
Trying to push their way forward without pushing. That's the challenging part. Later in this race, when desperation starts to rise, I think you're going to see things get pretty interesting with the pushing and shoving picking up late in the going when the desperation starts to happen.
You really can't push a whole lot. You can push a little bit, but even really on the straightaways, in the turn, you're kind of asking for a death sentence, especially with these Gen 4 cars. The rounded off bumpers, especially the rounded off front nose, you're just going to pick someone up and dump them mid-corner if you're not careful. As you look here, Kazunori Shiwu almost trying to make it 3 wide up the middle.
That almost happened right there. We saw him try to go 3 wide there with the yellow car on the outside. I believe that is Travis Beckner in the Collegiate Pines car. Scioli leads this time through. Justin Munsell trying to join in. Kane holding strong on the outside.
Still 2 by 2 down the front straightaway into turn 1. Nice even lines for the moment. But there's just a lot of momentum that is being generated and dissipated depending on how many cars in line can play the game at this stage of the race. Still pretty early going, but it's been clean and green for the first 8 laps, Finian, so these laps are going to tick down quickly if they stay in line and everyone plays ball.
Yeah, and they are taking down really quickly. We're going to have to see. Remember, though, with the 50 laps on the clock, these guys have to make a pit stop, so that's going to be the big thing, is because it's just over the length of one full stint, around 40-ish laps. Big question is going to be when are these guys going to come on down? Really it opens up around almost in a couple laps is when really the pit road window is going to open up. So if you see when guys are going to want to come down, they're going to want to come down early, wait till the very end, come down a little bit in the middle. A lot of options to play, especially if you keep going green.
Yeah, that will be something that they'll have to keep an eye on if the race continues to go green. Has the chance of going caution-free, but with the way these cars are handling right now, not 100% sure. So riding in car here with the 6 of Munsell. Got one hand on the wheel. I don't know if that's good in this case, but nonetheless, it's still working for him. Can't go too low, but Kane's still trying to fight back on the outside to lead this lap.
Nice orderly lines on the bottom and on the top for now. Mason Kane has been kind of in control of this race, but I guess control is probably the wrong word.
3 wide as Alan Elwood's up on top by himself. Don't know if he's going to really be able to move forward. Contact with the 28 and the 10. They're going to save it. No wreck. We keep going.
That was cool.
It might be a good bit of damage to the 10 of Elwood, though, as he smacked the outside wall in turn 2.
Yeah, he's got what I would call fairly significant right front damage. Let us see if we can find exactly how that started. It looked like 2 cars just got hooked up on the bottom. Was this before? It was on exit right here. So watch the 2 drift up right there. Gets into the 28. Yep.
Really great job for everyone to just save their cars and just give each other some room to work with. So everyone will continue. For Alan Elwood, the damage, I don't think it should be too big of a deal, especially when you don't consider you don't have to draft him. He's actually going to prove you wrong. He's going to immediately slingshot to the outside and pass 3 guys by himself.
Going through turn 3, still side by side for the lead. Skylerly and Munsell on the bottom with Kane, Yonishiwu, and Greg Mitchell on the outside. 5-car breakaway after that little skirmish coming off 2. Elwood's actually trying to get some draft on the outside and bring everyone from the top 10 on back to the front.
Watch this. Watch the 2 car out of turn 4. Whew. Big swing to the left there to get back in line.
Yeah, that's a big thing too. Is that these guys having to, you know, you have to put a little bit more wheel into it on the exit of these corners, and then when you keep having to do that, especially once you start to get towards the end of the fuel life, the tires are going to start really pushing. You have to be careful not to put too much wheel into it, otherwise you could very much get loose. These cars are not that planted to the ground.
So you're seeing the back, the 10 of Elwood still charging, trying to get that 3rd lane rolling, and back up here with the top 5, and now he's got just Sogok behind him. Pack's slowly starting to form back up as King continues to lead, but here comes Skyler once more on the bottom. Elwood on the top, 3 wide, heading into 1.
That ain't going to work as they go in there door to door to door. On the outside, though, the 10 getting a shove from Sogok in the 88. This is a good run here if they can keep the momentum down the backstretch. Now the center lane gets the momentum with help from the 8 of Brad Slaughter Jr. It's the 7, the 6, and the 2 on the inside, Finian, as they rocket into turn 3.
Yeah, I think the outside lane, they really just need one more car to get up there to join them and give them a push, because they just don't have enough momentum compared to the bottom 2 lanes. So we're starting to see them fall off a little bit as it's the drag race between Mason Kane and James Scioli. Off of turn 4, looks like Mason Kane's going to be able to lead this lap in the middle lane.
Elwood nearly clipping the wall coming out of turn 4. Kane going to lead through in the middle. Skyler's still on the bottom, and right in that middle lane, the 4th car in, and now going up to the 3rd lane. That's David Weishart joining in the mix as we're 3 wide for the lead.
Yeah, this is not going to end well. You can't do this for very long without somebody bobbling just a touch. They've done a nice job so far, though, as they head onto the back straightaway. Kane in the middle, Elwood up top, and Scioli on the bottom. 3 in a row, and each of those 3 lines from the wall to the line. Nobody giving an inch now. 14 laps into it, a 50-lap event. But no reason to sit around. You might as well.
Yeah, that's what they're feeling. They're trying to kind of, I guess if anything, this is great practice for the end of the race, right? You know, obviously you don't want to wait till the very end to figure out how you're going to be able to make some moves, especially when you get 3 wide like this, because you definitely can't go 4 wide. You're going to wreck the entire field doing that. So how are you going to be able to move going 3 wide? Is there any moves you can make? And really, which lanes are going to be better, which lanes are going to be worse? I think that's what a lot of these guys are going to try to feel out now.
All depends on execution and how you plan that move accordingly, as Elwood trying to get a strong enough run down the backstretch to edge ahead for the lead. Kane still fighting strong in the middle. Out of the bottom lane, actually bringing up a little bit, but still strong there with Scioli and Munsell once more. Looking a little further back outside the top 10, you got Matthew Bell, Ricky Harden, Garrett Grant's now in the top 10. Close quarters racing off turn 4, getting a little squirrely, Kyle.
Yeah, and I'm actually surprised that Kane is stuck with center track. You'd think that center track would get you stuck, but Kane's been able to use it to his advantage so far, and while he hasn't pulled ahead definitively, he's definitely not going backwards. It used to just be that it was the top or the bottom and nothing in between.
Yeah, I think the reason is there's some really nasty bumps. Because you're seeing James Scully get loose and lose momentum. I was going to say there's some really nasty bumps on the inside of the lane where the banking meets the apron. I think that's really why it just really hinders the inside lane, which is something you don't really see at the New Daytona, obviously considering it's silky smooth by comparison on that bottom lane.
Not to mention that Kane was pinching the 7 of Scioli there too, so that doesn't make it any easier for the driver on the bottom. Oh, look out. Car right behind him, Cosmin Yonishiwu trying to poke his nose in the middle, looking for some open air as Elwood now leads what is the second lane or the outside lane, and Kane down on the bottom, leading the way on the inside lane through turn 1.
David Weishart started this race in 9th, fell all the way back to as low as 22nd, and has now climbed all the way to his highest running position so far of 6th place on the outside this time. He's got help in behind in the form of Matthew Bell and James Scioli to his inside here. Now we're back to 2x2, which is a bit more comfortable for the time being, but will someone again try that outside lane perhaps?
And we'll see. It looks like they're satisfied now just running 2x2. And how about Alan Elwood? Got a little bit of damage to the right side, but it's not hurting him at all. From 16th up 14 spots to 2nd in a very solid run in the number 10 machine.
Yeah, after contact with the outside wall in turn 2, he's kept that thing straight for the most part, leading the way with Justana Sogok behind him. Haven't talked about it yet, but Justana Sogok, a new member of Central United, as Mason Kane drives down below the apron, heading to the back.
Surprises me a bit. I mean, racing really hard for a couple laps and just now decides to bail. That was a bit of a surprise, I'd say, but maybe organizing to maybe make a pit stop here, Finian. I mean, it feels a bit early, but maybe if you come down now, you can just get it out of the way.
Well, the window is open, so I mean, anyone can come down any time, and they're good to go to the end. But obviously, you need to pit with some friends. I think for him, I think he's figured. He realizes what he wants to do, what he needs to do near the front. Had enough playing around. Decided, you know what? No point. I had my fun near the front. I'm going to stick around here for the next 20 laps and then work his way back up, especially after pit stop. But good start being lining up for that. A lot of people now getting single file. Looks like Brad Slaughter, I'm not sure if he's dropping back or if he's trying to move his way forward. Looks like he's starting to drop back a little down. Not sure if he wants to or not, but everyone else outside the top 6 is single file.
Oh, Slaughter getting close to that outside wall. They could be getting ready for pit stops here. I would assume maybe about the halfway point. Weishart clipping the wall off of 4, Kyle. That was a close one.
That was, well, it was close, too close. Got into the wall there out of turn 4. Here's another look at it. This car pushed up the hill on him and right there, and he just couldn't quite keep it out of the fence. Did a nice job not bouncing off of it too wildly and keeping the composure of the car.
Yeah, I think it was lucky that he hit the safer barrier than the concrete. I think that's a lot more forgiving. So, able to get away with it, keep the car going. Still yet to see any major incidents, so props to everyone for remaining somewhat calm. I wouldn't say completely calm, saw some really aggressive 3-wide action earlier, just not even 10 laps ago.
Coming through this time by to complete lap 20 with 30 laps remaining in the Season 5 area shootout as Yonishiwu and Elwood continue to duke it out. Only 4 cars on the outside lane, and as mentioned, Slaughter looked like he was dropping back, but has actually worked his way up towards that top 5 or so as we're on board with Connor Horn running in the 17th spot.
Yeah, Connor's had a pretty quiet night so far, hasn't pushed the issue, but there's a handful of drivers that have dropped to the back, whether it's Connor Horn or Jake Nichols or others, and you'd expect them to really be a factor at the end of this race. So how long will they wait, maybe just until the pit stop, and then move their way forward, Finian, or do you think they're going to wait until about 10, 15 laps to go and try to move their way forward?
I think the best thing you're going to want to do is, you know, as far as pit stops are concerned, you're going to want to wait till just the gas runs out, because if a caution comes out, you're going to be kind of put out on strategy. So I think you're better off just waiting until the tank runs out. And then I think as far as, you know, waiting for the route to go, these cars you're able to move a lot more in these cars. That being said, when you want to move, everyone else is going to also want to start to move. So I would say you really want to start making some moves, especially if you're in the back, with at least 10 laps to go, maybe 15 laps to go. I would say no later than that.
Lana Sogok's looking for a friend or a hole to get down in because he's the only one on that outside lane. All 21 cars are single file on the bottom, and the only one on that outside is Anna Sogok, as the 24 of Yoshida continues to lead, and here comes pit stop.
And Scioli is one of the drivers to slow his car down, locking up the brakes, and he gets hit. David Weishart got him in the rear bumper and was giggling. He knew he got in there too hot, and it hurt both of them.
He sees it too. He's looking up. He's like, "Yep, they got me."
There's a look at it. Just whoa, 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 whoa. Nope, not quite. And that's going to hurt them, but they should still. I mean, at least the 7 got back rolling, and the 29 might be at the tail.
I would say James, I think, should be okay because he caught the tail end of the pack. I think just has to make sure, try not to take any tires. Maybe if you do take only 2. Should be able to get back with everyone else.
And as for everyone else.
Wow, wait, actually, hold on. I got 4 black flags. Garrett Grant, Brad Slaughter Jr., Alan Elwood, Ricky Harden. All very naughty boys.
Well, and the 23.
Oh, boy, I got even more black flags now this time by.
I was going to say a lot of people got down into pit lane real hot. All the IRLC cars looked pretty quick, and then Bowie ran wide.
Yeah, I got 7 black flags in total at the moment.
That's
Matthew
a third
Bell,
of the field.
Brandon Bowie, I think, and Ricky Harden are the latest. Oh, boy.
Well, this is why we have a preseason opener, so you can get pit stops or entering under green flag pit conditions, the speed regulated somewhat.
Yeah, Justin Munsell as well. Then I don't know if I caught his name as well, but yeah. So a lot of speeding fines handed out.
Something he had to practice, right? Preseason race, didn't bother to practice for pit stops. Different racetrack, different car.
So out of the 10 people that pit, 7 people got black flags. Or 6 out of 10.
That's so many.
Majority of them got black flags.
Man. Well,
I just saw Jacob Bell, who's race control for tonight, just put in the chat, I think we need a pit road speed practice. 7 speeding penalties.
I think so too. But with 11 cars still to pit, there's still more opportunity. So I wonder if those that have heard about those penalties will then be a lot more cautious with their pit lane entry.
Got some more coming down this time by. Thought I heard. There we go. 3 coming down.
Like Mason Kane, Travis Beckner.
Oh, Beckner. Oh. Wow, that was tight. Big smoky lockup.
No black flags this time.
So far.
Those 3 are good.
Not out of the woods yet.
I'd be very surprised if they speed on the other half of pit road.
We've seen it before. Although typically in iRacing, it's speeding on entry that will get you, as you said, Finian. So who's left? Connor Horn and a handful of others. There
Top
is
8 has yet to come down pit road.
Yeah, so top 8, will they come? They will not this time. They're going to stay out.
Yep, everyone in this leading pack has yet to make their one and only pit stop for tonight.
And this is the calm before the storm here, but with so many cars receiving penalties, the lead pack is going to be significantly smaller when they reform, and that's going to create probably more opportunity to get aggressive without dropping through the field. And Finney, you know what they say about aggressive?
We haven't seen anyone go around just yet, but
I had someone.
I think we're definitely due to.
I had someone in the GR Cup chat post that. I think DJ Clark, my colleague on the GR Cup North America broadcast, said something about someone being aggressive in the chat. Without fail, aggressive goes around. So 28 laps in to this 50-lap event, past halfway. And a lot of penalties. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 total. And 8 cars left to pit.
Yeah, we'll see if any of these guys come speeding down, because I think it really gets worse when you pit in a bigger group, because then people are trying to fan out, make sure they give each other space, and then by the time you realize it, you need to start braking.
Well, they're just passing the 5 of Garrett Grant you see on the outside. He's actually 2 laps down, so we'll see what this does for him. If it cycles to him being 1 lap down, then that'll be a good case scenario if a caution does come out. But for now, the only one 2 laps down. There are a handful of guys 1 lap down as Justin Anasoga continues to lead, nearing 20 to go.
Yeah, he's led 5 laps in this race, all 5 fairly recently. Remember to make sure to tune in next week to the area duels. Week prior to the area 500, we'll be kicking things off to the area 500 in 2 weeks' time. Of course, we got plenty of other series and seasons kicking off here on Sim TV. On Wednesday this week, the Washington, D.C. Region SCCA Virtual Racing League begins racing with Porsche Cups and TCRs at Summit Point. And then this Saturday, the MTech Endurance Series heads to Michelin Raceway Road, Atlanta for their first endurance event of the season. But right now, no points on the line for this crew. It is all bragging rights tonight. And still 8 cars left to pit. Everyone else has done their stop.
I was going to say, there are some points being handed out, probably really just points on their license for speeding. 7 drivers down on pit lane. So I'm really curious to see how it's going to go for the rest of these 8 other drivers, because I would imagine they're going to play it a little bit more cautious, but you never can be quite sure. As you look on with Casey Lakatos running well in 4th place at the moment.
Lakatos going Cup racing this year for Jacob Bell Racing. He's going to be running in the Cup Series, so it'll be interesting to see how he does, and has a couple new teammates for the Pro Series as well, so it's going to be fun to build off what he did in Season 4, not for just the Pro Series, but for the Cup Series as well, as across the stripe, got 20 laps to go with the top 8 still yet to make a pit stop.
Yeah, I think they're actually in a good position here because they've stayed together as a pretty large group, and all the drivers that have come out of the pits, for the most part, except for this pack here, these guys in particular, Yoneshiwu and Beckner, they've separated themselves out, and they're not going all that fast. They're losing about a tenth or so a lap. So I think you really kind of need to have a group of several cars to really extract maximum speed out of this Gen 4 Cup car.
Ooh, someone up there trying to do something. Let's see who that is. Making some moves up on the top lane. It's Garrett Grant, who's 2 laps down, I think, just trying to see if he can at least maybe get one of those laps back.
This needs a yellow, but we haven't had any of those so far. Been clean and green for 32 laps.
It's also pretty smart what's going on here, because the 2 cars in front of Anasoga are fighting to stay on the lead lap. That's James Skyley, David Weishart. So he's staying behind along with the other 7 cars that have yet to pit. They're staying behind. They're saving a little bit of fuel by doing this. Just staying behind the front 2 in front as see if they can come down pit road this time by. And as they're doing that, you see the 5 of Grant just power his way on the outside by.
Yeah, here they come this time. No, thought they would come this time, but again, kind of pushing the limit here, I'd think, of kind of swinging the other way on the strategy. When is too late to hit pit lane, Finian?
I don't even think there is a time that's too late, right? Because you're not really pitting for tires. I mean, you're pitting for tires just to make sure you got some handling for the car, not really for performance reasons. So I think they can really pit whenever. It's just a matter of who you're going to pit with, and if you pit with a decent enough group, and also that they don't get pit or speeding penalties and the group doesn't get disconnected is going to be the big thing.
Working their way in the turn 3. They're going to be losing time regardless. The longer they stay out, Shane Abbey looking like he might cycle to be the race leader. Once this is all said and done, depends on what these front 8 do. They might come down pit road this time by. Oh, no. I got to wonder what lap they're aiming for, how long they're going to keep this going.
They could potentially just run towards the end of the tank and then just take a splash and dash. But I don't know. I'd like to have a few laps to be able to overcome any issues or any positions I've lost. I don't want to kind of put myself in a hole where I don't have any time to make up if I come out 6th or 7th in line.
Yeah, I mean, really, as far as the amount of fuel these guys have left, I'd say maybe no more than 6. I'd be surprised if they push really much beyond that, although they are saving quite a bit now. But I think once they get to lap 4, they were really pushing it on the fuel.
And no, again, swinging below that yellow line. They did not go for it, Hunter. 16 laps to go now for the race leaders.
Could be waiting for a yellow to come out, but I'm not 100% sure if that's going to happen. Definitely not in this pack. The next pack, they might have some side-by-side racing going on, but really rolling the dice here with this call.
And checking back in with that other pack. Well, there's Shiwu, but there's another, not the pack I'm looking for. This one. And they are getting pretty racy, I'd say. Brad Slaughter about to go a lap down. Or he is the first driver 1 lap down at the moment. Elwood, Munsell, and these are all the penalty cars, essentially.
Well, this is interesting. I'm not sure if someone mentioned this, that apparently there's a rumor they're going to try to make it to the end.
Interesting. Well, that would explain why they haven't pitted yet, because I think you would. But I mean, if it was that close, I feel like everyone else would have tried that too.
Well, I guess they didn't expect that, they'd be in a situation where, enough people are going to be able to lay back. And that'd be really surprised you could push 50 laps. I mean, I know that the modern cars, especially, are not the most fuel efficient, but neither were these things. Typically I would say you could maybe push 42, 44 on a tank, but I mean, if you're really able to save enough, maybe 50. That'd be kind of surprising.
I think Hunter, go ahead.
No, I was going to say that's odd. I mean, this is the first race of the season, so might as well risk the gamble, roll the dice here, because it is, just for fun. There's no points, none of that on the line, but kind of wonder, because there's been separation going on. Connor Horn's the second back from the leader now. He's got Jake Nichols not too far behind, as well as actually Casey Lacoste behind him. Interesting fuel strategy from everyone inside the top 8.
I'll bet that this race, if this is true, if they're trying to stretch this, I'll bet this race goes green to the end, because everyone's going to be staying very orderly, trying to save some fuel. And think back to all the drivers that, like Jake Nichols, like Casey Lacoste, like Seth Knoll, like Connor Horn, that dropped to the back pretty early on. They were probably just half throttling it around, not committing fully to the throttle. Now, obviously, they would have liked to have had a yellow to commit and really have some more fuel to save in a yellow sequence, but they have not had that. They must feel like they are going to be able to do this without a problem. I don't know that you'd really risk this strategy otherwise. It's not like it's hard to pass, right?
Yeah, that's a really big thing. But I guess they're feeling confident that they're able to. And I'm looking, they haven't really backed off the pace either, because I guess they would have a gap to work with, and if they all agree to it, they can easily back themselves off and make sure that they all make it to the end, because the next car that of the drivers that pit is 35 seconds behind. So that's really how much they have to work with, but they're all just sticking in behind the lap cars they're already behind and just kind of riding off of their tailcoats.
Yeah, that pack is actually closed back up now. Horn was a second off. Now he's about 6 car lengths to half a second behind the leader, and Justin Anasogak. You can see that they've actually closed in. So 3rd through 8th, they're all bunching up together as one big family again.
Whoa, slide. A lot of cars back here bunching up. Wineland and Newbegin. That was a bit of a nerve-wracking moment. 11 laps to go, and laps are taken away 8 minutes until we know who wins this thing, unless we get a yellow flag, which we have not had yet this race.
Yeah, really crazy. It was the exact opposite of what we saw last season, where there was quite a few cautions spread out down the race, clean and green for almost the entire first 100 miles of this one.
Still 11 laps left in this race, and once they get to the white, a caution cannot end the race, so they'll just race it back. But yeah, still no caution. It took a while for a caution to come out in last season's race, because it's kind of played out the same way. Then the end just turned into a big old wreck fest, but still coming through with, we'll have 10 to go this time by. Anasogak trying to save the entire 50 laps here. Can he make it?
10 laps to go for Justin Anasogak and the 88. For the 2 of Greg Mitchell, Connor Horn, Laconis, Nichols, Knoll, Wineland, and Newbegin. Eric Wineland's the guy that is all about the alternate strategy. On board with them now. He looks pretty content to ride along here as Connor Horn drops towards the tail of even this pack.
And here they go onto the back straightaway now. And actually, you're talking about packs and talking about potential wreck. Looking at Matthew Bell, Alex Weaver, Ricky Harden, Justin Munsell, Brad Slaughter, and this other group of cars, they've been kind of racy. I could see a wreck coming from there.
Well, they'd be benefited, Hunter, by a yellow flag. But to really benefit, you don't want to be the caution, but creating circumstances where one would come out, all for it, huh?
Yeah, you definitely don't want to be a part of the caution, but if you can contribute into that without being a part of it, wrecked up race car, then yeah, it'll work out in your favor.
I'm going to contribute to a charity and not be a part of it. And that's the charity of the yellow flags. And you just don't want to, you want it to happen, you just don't want to directly cause it or be the cause of it. So these guys continue to swing around positions here. 9 laps to go. They're counting down quickly, 45, 46-second laps. But Finian, I think you're right. If there's going to be a yellow, it comes from this group.
Yeah, they've not decided on really who wants any single file. I guess they realize that you might as well fight amongst themselves for it. Because they're all lapped down. These are all the drivers, by the way, that were caught for speeding. So these are all the naughty boys.
Good to get it out of the way now rather than in the regular season, as they're trying to navigate their way back into this race. But with a caution yet to come out, it's going to be hard for these guys to even have a shot at contending for the win. And Soga continues to lead, though, with Mitchell, Lakatos, and Nichols now inside the top 4.
I'll bet you when they get to the new surface at Daytona next week, they're going to feel like braking is like getting caught in a bug sticky trap compared to the old surface here where you're bouncing and sliding, and the polished pavement that was here for decades now replaced with, well, I guess now over a decade-old pavement, but still a lot smoother than the track used to be.
One thing I'm looking at that I'm a bit surprised with their pace, I'm looking at Seth Knoll, Eric Wineland, Douglas Newbig, and Connor Horn. They've all backed it off quite a bit. And I think they're really trying to hypermile it because their lap times have dropped way off. They're running 49.5 with their last lap compared to 46.2 for the leaders.
I was just about to say the same thing. I've noticed that the top 3 have pulled away quite a bit. Meanwhile, everyone else that's yet to pit dropped back off quite a bit. You see 10 seconds separating Nichols and Anna Sogak as Mitchell and Lakatos are inside podium positions. And they can just draft off these cars, like I said, that have already come down pit road. So it's no harm, no foul for them. But 6 laps left. Do they have enough in the tank?
Well, it all comes down to running on fumes. I think from what we're hearing, it's going to be extremely tight. And we could have a bunch of cars running out of fuel on the final lap. It feels like a risk that, again, even though it's not for points, I feel like you just play the boring strategy then, right? You just come to pit lane, you race it out, no big deal, right? But they've elected for something different, now put themselves in a pretty tight corner. 5 laps to go this time.
Still no sign of that top 3 pitting, so it looks like they're content to run this out till the end.
They've dropped from Wineland on back. I mean, they're 15 seconds behind. That's how much time they've given up. 3, 4, 5 seconds a lap. Running, just for reference, a 49.2 to the leader's 46 flat.
Yeah, they got about 18 seconds to Alex Weaver, Shane Adamy, Cosme Nishua. That's the next pack that would catch them, and those are all the first drivers that have pitted. And here come the leaders. Some of them, at least.
Oh, not going to make it either.
Oh, my goodness. Anna Sogak spinning and crashing.
Oh, man.
And that is going to be it for Justin Anasogak. Noses into the barriers fairly hard. Did not get slowed down and then just crashed.
It's really surprised that Case Lakatos didn't come down.
Yeah, maybe just praying for a yellow flag from another group.
He's already that far in, might as well just stick to it. And
now he's actually had to catch back up because he's about to lose the draft. So now he's back up at like 200 miles an hour trying to catch back up to the pack.
Well, he should catch it, but 21 seconds back is Eric Wineland, Nichols, Seth Knoll, Newbegin, and Connor Horn. It's a 5-car group, and if they manage to save enough, they'll be the drivers that go on to win. But Alex Weaver,
actually,
go ahead.
So I was actually going to just point out something too. And actually, if Casey Lakatos needs to save him fuel now, he's got a 23-second gap to the next car.
Yeah, that's a half a lap.
Actually, I think that's what he's starting to do now. I think he's given up on trying to catch the pack, and now he's just kind of coasting.
See here, riding in car with Casey Lakatos, as mentioned, going Cup racing this time with Justin Sogak on the Cup side of things for Jacob Bell Racing, and this would be a great way to kick off Season 5.
So let's see, Casey Lakatos has to go 5 miles. Now, NASCAR Cup cars get about 4 miles to the gallon. So he's got just a touch over a gallon of fuel remaining in this tank if he can get back to the stripe.
It really is a battle of the tortoise and the hare, or the tortoises and the hares.
This is not the way I expected this race to finish, I'll say that.
Oh, no, not at all. It's a very slow ending to this race. The entire top 6 are all going about 20 miles an hour slower than the guys going full tilt.
Well, he's back
to catch up.
Way down to about 170 now. He's got 22 seconds to burn and has about, 3.5, 4 miles left to go?
No harm, no foul here, so if he runs out, then that's all she wrote. But he's trying to make it. Gap's dwindling down to 20 seconds. Got one more lap if he can do it.
Oh, my goodness. And
Justin Sogai, I think, is out of fuel. He's slow on the back straightaway.
he already had pit.
Oh, sorry, he's getting back up to speed. My apologies.
So 2.5 miles for Casey Lakatos and 19 seconds to burn. If he can get to turn 4, he might be okay.
But if he runs out, this opens the door for Eric Weiland and possibly Shane Abbey and others as well on the white flag lap. They were closing in on that 2nd through 6th pack.
White flag in the air. Lakatos is in turn 2.
Whoa, that 3rd pack's almost wrecked coming into the trial. Well, they're taking the white flag now, which is Munsell got pushed out a line below the yellow line.
Lakatos is down the backstretch at 150 miles an hour and still has 15 seconds to burn.
I think he's out.
Oh, he might be out.
Engine sputtering.
Oh, boy.
12 seconds.
Oh, gosh. I don't know if he's going to have enough.
Oh, he's still got a little bit of juice left. 11 seconds. He's not going to win. Here comes the pack into turn 3. Lakatos on the apron out of turn 4. 8.5 seconds. Here comes Wineland with a big head of steam. They're racing for it. Casey Lakatos, I don't think is going to get there. Wineland throws the block. He gets turned.
Oh, no.
Seth Knoll.
That might have been enough.
Casey Lakatos. Where did he come? How did he do that?
What a way to kick off Season 5.
Oh.
How did he do that? I thought for sure he wouldn't make it to the stripe. Are you kidding me?
I think the fact that they were racing at the end, they held each other up, and that wreck, I think it was just enough. Lakatos won by 1.1 seconds to Seth Knoll.
That was unbelievable. What?
It was the little engine that could. I think I can. He was saying it as he was coming to the stripe. On fumes, Casey Lakatos wins Season 5 area preseason shootout.
Enough, and he will not.
He came across the line at 90 miles an hour.
Oh, man.
Oh, my goodness.
To win the race.
Had a half a lap
Daytona.
lead. Wow. And he'll have no engine to do a burnout with. That was crazy, and congratulations to Casey Lakatos. What? Well, this was almost as chaotic as the All-Star race from last season when we binned everybody in turn 4. This time we did that, plus had a driver just coasting it with just maybe an ounce of fuel left in the cylinders of that one. But Casey Lakatos gets his first win in the area series in the shootout on fumes.
Yeah, I've seen races where drivers run out of fuel, through turn 4 at like 1.5 miles. I've never seen someone run out of fuel on the back straightaway at Daytona and somehow make it back to the line to win. That's some crazy stuff. Great stuff for Casey to manage it all the way. Seth Knoll, Douglas Newman are going to be so annoyed they were so close. If they're thinking if we were at Talladega, they would have had him. But unfortunately, we're at Daytona, so they're going to have to settle for 2nd and 3rd.
Well, what saved Lakatos is the wreck at the end with Eric Weiland, because if that doesn't happen, Eric Weiland wins this race.
Yeah, I thought for sure when we saw Casey at maybe 95 miles an hour in turn 4, he would get beat. And then I just happened, as we were watching Seth Knoll approach the line, I was like, where did Casey go? he was already past the camera and under the flag stand. That was just immense. Really cool to watch. And there's your top 10. Let's move on back now to 11 through 20. And there's a lot of drivers in this list. How about Eric Wineland, 14th? That's got to be disappointing after running so well.
Yeah, it's definitely got to be really disappointing. Right there, potentially with the victory in his hands, if he was able to make it back, coulda, woulda, shoulda. He's got to settle for 14th, but I mean, you can't be disappointed with the run that he had leading up to that. Great job for him.
And looking down the rest of the order here, Garrett Grant and Justin Anisogak led a whole bunch of laps late in that race, ended up getting turned around in the pit lane and ended up in the wall. All right, let's talk with our third place finisher, Douglas Newbegin, playing the fuel game all the way to the end, but Douglas, that did not end the way that we thought it would. Take us through the strategy tonight and how yours ended up working. Got you on the podium, but I think you probably thought you'd be fighting for a win.
Yeah, I want to say first, sorry to freaking Eric there. I did not want to do that to him. Yeah, I didn't mean to spin him out there. We were racing pretty good together, saving fuel, but yeah, I mean, we kind of discussed that. I was with some of my buddies in that race. We were discussing kind of like, all right, what we're going to do for fuel strategy, and we kind of all agreed that you could make it if you saved a bunch, but it was like right in the line, and they wanted to pit. I was with Travis and Travis Cosman and those guys for the race, and they all wanted to pit. I was like, I saved. I think I was doing good, so I just stayed out. I was in last place for this whole entire race, and every pack I was in. So I just kind of stayed like that and just kept saving fuel. I mean, I think I had the most fuel left of everyone in that pack we had going at the end of it. But yeah, if we just went like, I really thought he was going to run. I mean, he did run out of fuel by the way it sounds like, Casey. But I mean, props to him. I was really thinking about doing that, just flying up ahead and just slamming the clutch like the last couple laps, because I think it would have worked. But yeah, I mean, that's the difference though between our group was me, Seth, Eric, Jake, Connor. I mean, if we went literally 50 feet beforehand, we would have won that race. It's just that little difference. That's all that matters.
It was exceptional to watch, and I have to wish you congratulations. But the season is still ahead of us, and the duels next week. So good luck to you in your preparation for those, and we'll see you next Monday.
Yeah, thank you, man. It was fun racing. Can't wait to be back here for the duels in Daytona.
We'll see you next week, Douglas. Thanks for talking.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, on now to our second place runner, Seth Knoll. And if I can, we got to get my Discord window a little bit larger here. There's Seth Knoll, second place finisher. Wow, what's going on over there, Seth? Well, second place in that race, coming out of turn 4. I frankly wrote off Casey Lakatos and was focused on your battle as it kind of turned to a smoky mess out of 4 to your inside. Take me through that last lap in the run of the checkers.
Well, I mean, we got to start all at the beginning. Start on pole. Good start to the season. We figured out it was a fuel saving race pretty early on and just rode around. Then we get to that point where it's decision time. Everybody's pitting. You either got to choose to pit, and I think it was Shane and all them. They were trying to run us down, and then we ended up having to lose the pack because we weren't going to make it at the pace that the lappers were running. And then we came down to the last little bit and couldn't race down Casey when the second pack was all good jumbled off turn 4.
Well, it was certainly fun to watch and very interesting, and had the strategy gears turning in our heads for a little while. But Seth, congratulations and best of luck to you here in a couple of weeks, trying to repeat your Area 500 win. So best of luck.
I appreciate it. We'll try and get our first win for Solar Flare as we move over there this season, heading into Daytona.
It'll be a lot of fun, Seth. Thanks for talking.
I appreciate it, Kyle.
And Casey Lakatos. Casey, I'll be honest, as you came out of turn 4, I saw how slow the car was moving, and I turned the camera away to watch the battle behind, thinking that would be the one for the win. And as the checkered flag fell, I saw the one car pass under the camera and said, wait, where's Casey? You had already passed the line. You win the area shootout. What a way to start the season. Holy cow, I can't believe it. I'm sure you can't either.
I can't either. We were chatting about strategies down in the waiting room, and let me tell you, somewhere around lap 20, I'm like, it's going to be close. Get to lap 35, it's going to be close. And we got to lap 45, and I'm like, I'm under. We got to do something. So I tried hanging out with the back of the pack, trying to pull as much draft, and I'm like, I'm burning more fuel than I'm saving. So I dropped down, kept dropping it every 10 miles an hour, and watched those guys kind of stay even with me. So I clutched it down the backstretch right as it started to sputter, and I'm like, I'm going to take one more oomph of gas and hopefully push myself across the line. I'm just amazed. Happy for all the teams I'm part of this year. Going to be part of Central United. JBR, going to be with Swan Motorsports. Appreciate all the opportunity to drive for these guys, and I'm just excited that we could start off 2023B this way.
Yeah, I was going to say momentum is a big piece, not only at these racetracks, but in the season. So while this isn't a points-paying evening, how much momentum does this carry into the Cup Series for you as you kick off that program this year?
I was already excited to be driving for the teams that I'm driving for. Certainly this is going to give us a heck of a boost here going forward. Just happy to get another win under Sim TV.
All right. Hey, Casey, congratulations. A surprise win on Fuel tonight for the number 50. Always a strategy player. Congratulations, and we'll see you next week for the duels.
Thank you, guys. Have a good night.
You as well. All right, let's wrap things up here from Daytona. Hunter, you first. Wow, wild strategy. It came to play here at the very end of this race, but we had a caution-free area shootout. How about that?
Yeah, we've had caution-free races at super speedways before, but we have never seen a photo. Well, no, it was almost a photo finish, but we haven't seen a fuel mileage finish at a super speedway. Just when you thought you've seen an all-in area, you have now seen a first. Even though it's in a shootout race, not a points-paying race, nonetheless, still a exciting, thrilling finish to the very end. And on the Area Race Day Live, which is with me, Kyle Tupper, and Noah Nadu from Central United Motorsports, they were talking about how they feel like Season 5 is the season where they get things going on the right track and feel like they have a strong enough lineup to where they can win a race or maybe a couple of races. I don't think they expected to win this early in the shootout, but it's a great way to kick things off for Season 5 for Central United and for Casey Lagadas.
Certainly is, Vinny. And final thoughts here on the Daytona shootout here for the Area Series. We go racing for the duels next week, but what a way to start things off.
I was going to say that if the rest of the season is going to be anything like what we saw tonight, I cannot wait for it to get started. We saw some fantastic stuff the last couple seasons in the area, and I'm really just looking forward to this season. Some great drivers lined up, some new faces and some new teams, some old faces also in some new teams, so we'll see how it's going to play out for another great season here, Season 5 coming up for the Area Cup Series. And
that's with that, we'll end the Area preseason shootout coverage. Area Duels next Monday. We qualify for the Area 500. We'll see you there right here on Sim TV.